Neste gjest, han har jobbet som skuespiller i 43 år og vært med i filmer som Shakespeare in Love og The Golden Compass. Men det er som den elskelige butleren Carson i TV-serien Downton Abbey han i dag blir gjenkjent av 120 millioner dypt rørte TV-seere verden over.
So, we decorate the stalls today. You all know the drill. And remember, anything shabby shows Downton in a bad light.
Serve the Margot at dinner and keep the oat brillant for tomorrow. No, the 99 if we have enough. I want to go out with a bang. And you can choose the white.
Very good, my lord.
Please welcome Jim Carter. Welcome to Scandinavia.
Thank you very much. I apologize. I speak English, not Norwegian or Swedish. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me.
Maybe you could try. Smek mina fräknar. Yeah, that's a good let's stick to English. We were talking about children's behavior and bringing up children. And you seem so very, very well-mannered and very dignified as a person. Have you always been...
Well-mannered, yes, and dignified. No, I was, well, I'm well-mannered and dignified at this time of my life. I've had many phases of my life, of course, you know. I've had the wild days and the rock and roll days. They are behind me.
And how did you look at the time?
I was a hippie, because long hair, a big moustache. I looked like Frank Zappa. And it was very unpleasant, I have to say. Flared trousers, fur coat. Awful.
Your character Carson, as we saw him here, he's really all about good old-fashioned traditional manners, isn't he?
Completely. Very, very, very traditional, trying to hold back the tide of history. Very set in his ways. And it's crazy because the Downton Abbey is set at a time when society is changing. And he's deeply resistant to that, very socially incredibly conservative.
What did you learn about that butler job? Did you learn something about it while working?
Yeah, I mean, it was seen as a very good job. You weren't allowed to get married. The butler wasn't allowed to get married. The housekeeper wasn't allowed to get married. So Mrs. Hughes, the housekeeper, wasn't married, but she was called Mrs. Hughes.
But you could have a fuckmate, kind of.
I'm not Tom Jones, no. I can see how he's got 6 children. He's got a one-track mind.
You've got a psychiatrist here today.
Yes.
I've
got to talk to you. I'm a good enough parent, I have to say. I am a good enough parent.
And what did you learn about etiquette?
Well, there's some amazing... I mean, the world was run by rules, bizarre rules, some of them quite clever. I mean, there's a lot of big formal dinner parties, and if people are visiting for dinner, then all the female guests would look at the lady of the house to see which way she turned, and if she turned this way to talk, then all the female guests would turn the same way to talk round the table for the first 2 courses, and then they were allowed to turn and talk to the person on their other side when the dessert came out.
Like we do it here.
Well, yeah, very like you do here, yes. So it meant nobody was left out. You weren't allowed to put everybody puts their elbows on the table. Your kids are put their feet on the table. But you couldn't put because once you said grace, then it was the Lord's table, and you weren't allowed to touch it.
Well, one thing I think about when I watch Downton Abbey, which I do, of course, it's on our channel, that's you almost never see the children.
There's very practical reasons for that. They're very difficult to work with, and they cry all the time. Never work with children and animals. You know. At the opening, you see him walking to the house with the dog. We've had 14 dogs. 14
For that
different
one
dogs.
dog part.
Yeah. So occasionally there's a dog runs out of the room. That's probably dog number 13. No, we don't have the children very much, but that's for practical reasons.
Okay,
really.
but maybe they didn't have the children as much.
Oh no, the children were
with the dinner and
no nanny.
They were
The children
shown
with
away.
the nannies, and they would be brought down to be shown to the parents for maybe an hour a day, and in fact the old lady, the dowager countess, the old lady, said, you know, but I saw my. Someone said you never had anything to do with your children. I saw them for an hour. Every day, and that was it.
Do you find it a bit tempting though to have these children brought?
No.
to you?
I'm not. But I would like to have a butler actually.
Well, not me, mate, not me.
But
That would be perfect.
yes,
Would
fantastic.
you cope with
Me
the
too.
butler?
But
Would
you
you
would
be
like to have a butler, really?
Yeah. But
do you find it socially
His
acceptable?
voice. I'm
No.
so sensible for voice.
I'm not asking if you want.
Are you sure you know what butler means, baby?
I can see it one time every day.
Okay.
And they bring me everything.
I will
take care of my life.
I will attend to your every need.
Would it be? I wonder. Would it be socially acceptable? I mean, in Sweden, in England,
People do. The super rich have butlers. Butlers are coming back thanks to me. Thank you. But butler schools in America, because I mean, the success of Downton Abbey in America is indescribable.
But do they, like in the old days, do they dress people in the morning? Is it like? Would you like to have someone dress you in the morning?
No.
Choose
like
your
that.
clothes for
But
you.
I mean, maybe more like a personal assistant doing stuff that I don't have.
That's
time
not a
with.
butler.
Yeah.
Well, but a full-time personal assistant, maybe that.
But at home you want to relax, don't you? You don't want to think, oh, Carson's boiled the eggs, I better get down for breakfast, you know.
No.
And they live their life by
But I mean-
gone, get dressed for dinner, gone, go.
But then the butler has taken the power over the.
Yeah. The butler has a lot of power.
How did the series Downton Abbey change your career, change your life?
I'm sort of too old to worry about my career, really. I don't really worry about that. It's changed it in that I get recognised. I've been in Stockholm for about 6 hours. I cannot believe how many people have recognised photographs and autographs and thank you very much. It's very nice. Last winter, I went on a cycling holiday in Cambodia, and in the temples of Angkor Wat, in the jungles of Cambodia, on my bicycle, with Lycra, don't think about that, sweating, so past a bunch of Chinese tourists, Mr. Carson!
But that must be quite awkward. So I mean, I think it's nice. I'm recognized in Sweden, and I think it's so nice to come abroad and nobody knows who I am, and I can sneak around and dance in the bushes and stuff. You know what I mean?
I do, yeah. Don't forget, I used to be a hippie dancing in the bushes.
But now you have to. I mean, you have to watch for yourself all the time what you do and so on.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Which is very, it makes you very self-conscious.
They'll always be watching your manners. That's
Yeah,
the thing.
absolutely.
The manners are very.
You can go
have
to
to
North
behave.
Korea.
Oh, good evening, my lady.
Jim, thank you so much for being here
Thank
with us
you.
tonight.
Thank you.
Det är helt 2 miljarder.